Today we're gonna discuss one of the massive, hugest hip hop icons at the time, like in the 90s. We're gonna talk about Tupac. I know a lot of people that didn't know Tupac, they just saw him as a very loud and vulgar person, but not understanding his background will put you through that. See, Tupac was a young kid who grew up through a struggle. His parents were Black Panthers, and it was only him and his sister, and there was a whole lot of struggle because at the time, black people were not really taken seriously, so they were given crappy jobs if there were jobs at all, and they would stay in very, very poor areas. So growing up like that makes you kind of wonder like where you're going as a person and where the world is going. So he got lucky enough to find himself at art school because he was very gifted even from a very young age. People could see that. And his mom really noticed that about him, that he's got a really good heart and he's got direction. So he grew up, and with that background. He grew up with a lot of pain, all the drugs and whatever. At a point, he tried to sell drugs, but he wasn't really good at it. So the people that said, "No, you're not gonna sell anything. You're terrible at it. Just take the money and do whatever you're gonna do. You have a bright future. Just go do something important. You look like you have a very bright future ahead of you. So work with that." So he got lucky. He went to art school. That's where he met Jada and a whole lot of other people. And then he met somebody who was doing music, Swoop G, and he made him do all sorts of weird stuff like dances with blow up dolls on stage, which was very embarrassing. But he was getting money and didn't mind at the time until he decided to like do his first track, "I Get Around," which was very crazy, I think. But he was having fun, and then he grew from that and got bigger and bigger and signed with one label, and then he started becoming a movement, working with different artists, gaining a whole lot of popularity, and he got just bigger. I don't think he really expected to be a success, but it happened. And if you notice, like, look at his performances, you realize that he really knows what he's doing because of the art school he went to. He's a performer. He performed. That's how we get the respect, by doing what you love and showing or expressing that you love it and doing that. That's what you realize about Tupac. When he was in the moment, he really gave it his 100%. And that's not something you can teach. That's something you have to be born with. And he was born with that. So he grew up and he tried to bring other black people up. And then throughout his music, you realize that he still thinks about the stuff he went through, the people he grew up with, the pain, the hunger, the struggle that black people go through. And to a certain degree, it was a problem because for white people, they didn't think he was that important until their kids started listening to his music, and then he started getting notice, and the government started getting notice of this guy. What's he doing? What's his music about? They only noticed on the negativity, the swearing, the fighting, the shooting, all of that. They didn't listen to the music that showed the pain, that made you realize where he comes from, why he's doing it. The reason, like the heart that he puts in it. They didn't understand that. They just wanted to destroy him and get him out the way because, when you're doing something good, people are always gonna notice on the bad stuff you're doing. So that's what the thing was, you know. And then the times that people try to use him, the government try to use him so that he could sway people's minds to their beliefs or whatever, which who we call the Illuminati. But we're not gonna delve into that. But eventually realized that wasn't for him. So he eventually signed with Death Row. You know, from working with Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre was working with some other people. He worked with Easy. You know, Easy E, and then from then they took Dr. Dre from Eazy-E by kicking Eazy-E's ass, which was very unfair because he worked hard to get Dre where he is, and then he worked with Suge Knight. That's where he met Tupac and Snoop. So he was there, and then they were working, made a lot of amazing music until Dre got tired and decided he can't do this anymore, and then he's gonna leave. Then he left, and there was just Tupac and Snoop there, and a whole lot of other artists. But these two were the major icons that were there at the time. You know, so it went on, and if you realize at the time there was a whole lot of stuff going on because that's especially with the law, like the artists or the black people with the law. Remember, Ice Cube and the whole of NWA got in a whole lot of trouble, and I think they got arrested at the time for performing a track called "Fuck the Police," which they were not supposed to. They were asked nicely, "Don't perform it," but they said "fuck it" and did it anyway, and I think they got arrested. You know, so the same thing happened with Tupac. He was always in trouble, in jail, in court for all sorts of stuff that kept happening. But I think it was more about the company he was keeping than his behavior as much. You know. So after that and all that drama, then he met Notorious, and they became friends. And then there's a whole lot of issues around that, as in did Notorious actually send people to come and kill Tupac or whatever? But Notorious says he was just in the building and they heard shots, and then when they went down, they found Tupac. He was shot and bleeding, you know? So he assumed that they were in on it. I don't know. But that's what sparked the East Side West Side beef. You know, people that know nothing had anything to do about it. They just heard speculation, assumed, oh, that's what's going on. East Side, West Side, we go kill each other over color. Red bandana, blue bandana, which is very stupid. I think black people can be smarter and stronger than that. They need to overcome such weaknesses because it's a weakness. Fighting for color when you're all black. We can do better than that. So back to Tupac, and that went on. He kept getting shot, get into trouble, and then there was a scene when they were in Las Vegas, and they were chilling, and he had a friend who got robbed, by this guy called Orlando. So they saw him, and Tupac being very hot-headed, he said, "Let's go get this guy." And he went there, and they beat him up, not knowing that that's going to create a future problem. Because when you're a star, you don't do things like that. When you're a celebrity, you stay out of trouble. But Tupac just wanted to fit in so much. He wanted to be part of the team, part of the crew, to show love, because that's what Tupac is all about. Wherever Tupac was, he wanted to show people that he loved them. You know, he just wanted to create unity amongst black people, because he realized at the time only unity can make us overcome poverty and all that. So to prove to his friend that he loved him that much, he went and they attacked this guy. His name was Orlando. And then later on, Orlando came back, and looked for Tupac with his friends. And he was in the car with Surge Knight. And they drove around, and as soon as they hit a traffic light, Orlando saw them, and then they shot Tupac, and that's how Tupac died, for a beef that had kind of nothing to do with him. Yes, he got in a fight, but if he didn't get in that fight, probably this had nothing to do with him, and he'd probably still be alive, but we don't know. But that's what he died from, and then it was very silly. I think he didn't deserve all that, because he was very brilliant. He was an artist, he was a poet, he was a rapper. So we were robbed because of gun and gang violence. We need to stop this. It's pathetic. It's sad. America, seriously, seriously, America. I'm from South Africa, and I'm telling you, it's bullshit. You all need to stop fighting over stupid shit. You're robbing us of very important people in our lives. These are our brothers. These are our sisters. Stop it. It's enough now. You can't say no more. Yo, figure yourselves out. Peace.